Teacher, do these things and make your students hate you. Yeah. For this video, we're going to be covering the things that you think are okay, but are actually not okay with your students. Sometimes we get too comfortable working from home that we forget to draw a line between professionalism and working from home. Sometimes we become too comfortable that we do things that we're not supposed to do at work simply because we're at home. So, on this video, I'll be sharing the things that we think are okay, the things that we sometimes do that actually make our students hate us. And obviously, Teacher, regardless of whatever ESL company you work for, you don't want your students to hate you because if they do, they're going to be writing a complaint, they're going to be giving you a low star rating, or they're not going to be booking your classes anymore. So if you're from native camp, your classes will just be all sudden classes, the low paying classes. So you don't want your students to hate you, obviously, right? So if you're interested and you want to know more, please continue watching. To those of you who'd like to be a part of my awesome company, Native Camp, all you have to do is send me an email at askteachakaren@gmail.com. And for my future students all over the world, I will be resuming private classes in June 2022. Please send me an email for your inquiries or get in touch through WeChat or Line. So let's get started. Number one, yawning or poor posture. Like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. Poor posture. So, Teacher, if you have been working as an ESL teacher for quite some time, you're supposed to learn the art of yawning without making it obvious. In my language, we call it paghikab sa ilong, or yawning through your nostrils, wherein without having to open your mouth, you have to learn how to yawn by simply doing this to your mouth and letting your nostrils flare a bit, and this is going to be the part of your body that's going to yawn. So um it's a big no-no to yawn, even though you say excuse me or I'm sorry about that, or even though you cover your mouth. As long as you do this, that's a big no-no because obviously you're communicating to the student that you're bored. That's why what I usually do, especially during my first trimester of pregnancy, during the first trimester, FYI, pregnant women are super duper duper sleepy because of the hormones. So when I would yawn, I'd pretend to get something. And then I would yawn, or I would pretend to get like my book or something, and teacher will show you something, or then I'm gonna yawn. The point here is if ever you really need to yawn, don't make it obvious. Don't be too comfortable. And speaking of posture, even though you have a bad ache, a terrible backache, or your buttocks is starting to hurt, you have to make sure that you do not slouch in class, and that you maintain good posture, because always remember that the energy that you give is the energy that you receive. If the teacher looks sleepy and bored, the student will be sleepy and bored. And on top of that, you're going to get a complaint from your students, or they're never ever going to be booking your class again. Big no no number two is drinking in class. Some of us get too comfortable that, yeah, because we have a cute water container or a cute tumbler, we feel that we have the right to just drink in front of the student. So in other cultures and for other students, that's actually impolite that their teacher is drinking in front of them, even though it's clearly like water or just to hydrate yourself. So the basic etiquette here is if you really have to drink water, please ask for the student's permission. Let's say during my pregnancy, what I do is um, I'd ask my student, would it be okay if I drank some water during the class because my throat is quite itchy, or it's quite dry, or I'm not feeling well today, or whatever. So it's better if you ask for their permission, and if they grant you the permission, then say thank you. Make sure that whenever you drink, that's not the time. That's not the time when the student's attention is all on you. Let's say the best time to drink is usually when the student is reading something, or when they're listening to a recording, or when they're answering the exercise, so that the attention is not 100% on how you grab your glass or your tumbler and drink. You still don't want it to be a distraction. Big no no number three, asking too personal questions. Well, honestly, in native camp, we have this policy that we're not allowed to ask personal questions, but like personal questions like, where you're from, what's your job, and so on. But honestly speaking, I still ask those questions like, where are you from? What do you do? Uh, what do you like doing? What are your hobbies? I still ask those questions simply because I use it to establish rapport. So, in my opinion, it's still okay to ask personal questions if those questions will help you establish a connection and a relationship with your student, if it'll help you achieve your teaching goals for the student. But there are questions that are inappropriate to ask in class, such as the student's age. You can ask for the student's age if they're children, 15 years old, 13, 14, 5 years old, 6 years old. But when you're speaking to an adult, basic etiquette, never ask the student's age. You can divulge your age, but you don't really have to ask the student's age. If they share their age with you, then, maybe you just don't have to focus on it too much. Other personal questions would be, of course, about gender preference, civil status if they're single or they're married. Um, uh, it's also inappropriate to ask if they have children, because what if these are people who choose not to have children? Of course, big no no to talk about or ask questions about taboo, religion, gender preference, politics, and so on, right? So you have to make sure that the questions that you ask maybe are just limited to their hobbies, what they like doing, where they're from. I'm also very careful when I ask about my students' job, because sometimes it's inappropriate to ask about their job. Um, what I usually say before I ask something related to their job is, if you don't mind me asking, are you an English teacher? Because I notice your English is quite good. So I don't directly ask what your job is, what their job is, but I kind of let them know that their English is so good. So I was just literally wondering if they're an English teacher. Thus, I make sure that the way I ask the question is not offensive in any way, because some people are just not comfortable talking about their jobs. So, again, if you're going to ask personal questions, be careful. Just maybe stick to hobbies, stick to interests, and stick to their location if you can, if your company allows you to ask about the student's location as well. Big no no number four, talking to others while in class. Again, because we are at home, sometimes we get too comfortable that our family members talk to us while we're in class, like, let's say, like this. You're gonna, glance to the side and talk to somebody. That's a big no no, because number one, it's a distraction. Number two, it's unnecessary. As much as possible, teachers, our goal is to create a professional environment. And if you're an ESL teacher, you must give your students your undivided attention. And just to share with you, if you really urgently need to talk to someone, once again, you have to use the magic button on your professional headset. You have to mute the microphone and pretend to get something while you're talking. Let's say, what I would usually do, oh, give me a moment. Teacher will just show you something, and then I'm going to actually get a prop related to what I'm teaching, and I'll put the class on mute, and then while I'm getting it, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk to my family member. Please stop talking to me. You are a distraction. Please close the door. You're so noisy. Blah, 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 blah. And then when I show myself back to the camera, I'm still going to be my usual self. Again, the goal is to minimize the distraction that your students can experience, because, as much as possible, we want them to feel that they have our undivided attention. Big no no number five is deliberately asking for a booking or a 5-star rating. Like literally asking the student, oh, I hope you will book my class again next time. Or I hope you're going to give me 5 stars if you were happy with how I taught you. Big no no, teachers, because that is indirectly communicating to your students that Everything that I've shown you today is just a show. It's just for show because I want you to book my class again, or I want you to give me a good star rating. So everything that I've shown you today is fake or was fake. So that's what you're communicating to your student when you deliberately ask for a good star rating or for them to book your class. The point here is never ever ask them. Okay? You could just say, I hope I made you happy today, or I hope you learned a lot today. So those are the things that we can say, but not really asking them to book our class again or give us a good rating. Big no no number six, disappearing from the camera. We are not allowed to disappear from the camera even for a few seconds. So sometimes because we are at home, we really have to do something that would make us disappear from the class. But think of it this way: when you are in a class, you have to be in class physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You have to be in class. So there are times when I disappear for like 2 seconds simply because I'm going to close the door and I'm going to ask permission. Oh, let me just close the door because my dogs are barking. Or let me just close the door real quick and I'll close it. I'll be back. So I don't disappear from my class for more than like 3 seconds. Though there was this one time when there was someone ringing the doorbell, and it was one of my parcels. I ordered something from Shopee. So what I did was I sacrificed my Shopee order and disregarded the delivery person, and I just continued with my class. There was also this time when I really, 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 really had to disappear from the class for like 10 seconds. And what I did was I chose to disappear when the student was listening to a recording. So then again, even though the teacher disappeared, at least the lesser evil is that, I wasn't talking, I wasn't teaching, and we were just simply listening to a recording. And then when I got back, I really made sure that they would forget about the fact that I left and that I would make them happy. And teachers, big no no to disappear just for you to pee or drink or go to the bathroom. Big no no. That's the reason why there is a 4 or 5 minute interval between our classes so that we could use that time to go to the bathroom if we need to. So, what if it's an emergency? Well, you really have to, uh, weigh the situation. Is it worth getting a complaint because you really have to go number two or number one? It's up to you. But as much as possible, don't. There was this one time I was really tested. I was experiencing morning sickness because of my pregnancy. I felt throwing up. I really felt like throwing up, but I did not disappear from class. You know what I did? I pretended to get something just like what I usually do, and my microphone was on mute. And what's actually happening in the background, without a student knowing it at all, was I was actually throwing up. The show must go on. And the student had a great experience in my class, but deep down inside, I was dying. So that's my morning sickness story here in Native Camp. Big no no number seven is pretty simple: looking down. We all know that when we're looking down, we are looking at our smartphones, right? So when you're looking down while you're talking, even though you're multitasking, the student feels that, you know, they don't have your undivided attention and your attention is elsewhere. And again, it's a universal language for checking your phone. Look at how annoying it is that I'm looking down, right? So never ever look down. If you badly need to respond to somebody, imagine, I don't have my phone with me. Imagine this is your smartphone. What I usually do is instead of me like texting this way, like this, I would put my smartphone near the camera, like this. And this is where I will text so that my face is still kind of looking at the student, even though or the computer, even though I'm actually texting. But again, I avoid that as much as I can because I don't want them to feel that I am not focused on the class. Big no no number eight is intentionally or unintentionally showing your family members. Teachers, again, we are professionals. We want to create the illusion that we are in the office, not at home, even though it's kind of clear that we're working from home. Never ever show your family, no matter how cute your daughter or your son is. don't show it to your students because you want to create this professional aura that you are a teacher, that you are there to teach, not to chit chat. You don't want to have like a relationship that is too personal with your student. Uh, but the exception there would be your pets. Let's say it's usually my thing to show my cats or my dogs to my students because it benefits the class. It energizes the students, it stimulates their interest. It's like the element of surprise, and it wows the student. It makes me more memorable. Oh, this is the teacher who has five pets. She sometimes shows me her cats, and I usually do that as a reward for my students who are pet lovers. Or I use my cats or my dogs when I'm teaching the concept of animals, colors, size, or whatsoever. So if it's something that would benefit your class, it's okay to show your pets, but not really your family members. Big no no number nine would be unnecessary noise. And this is the reason why I always encourage ESL teachers to invest on a reliable headset. The most affordable that I know would be what I'm using right now, Jabra Evolve 20. It's about 1,500 or 2,000 pesos here in the Philippines. Pretty affordable. I've been using this for 2 years, so definitely I've gotten my ROI. So, other teachers also invest on noise canceling or eliminating applications or software rather, such as Crisp, because their house is kind of noisy. So you don't want your students to get distracted by chickens, or rather roosters, motorcycles, family members chit-chatting, your doorbell, dogs barking. So as much as possible, you just want them to hear your voice, right? Your voice alone. So even though you think it's okay because you're working from home, it is not okay. You have to do your best to eliminate noise. Choose a room in your home that is furthest from the sources of noise and invest on noise canceling headsets and software. And finally, big no no would be unprofessional lighting and teaching background. Teaches, I've already seen so many unprofessional looking ESL teachers where in the background is literally like a plain white wall, and it's pretty obvious that they're in like one corner of their house, or the background is like a curtain, and the curtain isn't really, ironed. It's crumpled. It looks like a bathroom curtain. I've also seen teachers where in the background is literally their homes. It's just so unprofessional. How would you expect your students to book your classes? How would you expect your students to respect you if you don't have respect for yourself and your job? Even though you're working from home, again and again and again, you have to create the illusion that you are in the office, that you are a professional, that you know how to separate home from work, that you know how to separate your personal life from your professional life. So you have to invest on a decent background. What did I do? I went to canva.com. I just lay out a tarpaulin, and I had this background of mine printed, and the size is like 4 feet by 3 feet. And that's the background that I've been using in my class. The least that you could do is to make sure that you have a plain white background and that the camera is like parallel to your eyes so that it's not going to be distracting, right? And of course, you have to invest on a ring light. Imagine if you don't have a ring light, it'll be terrible. Trust me, the quality will be terrible. Your students going to get bored because your video looks terrible, and obviously they wouldn't want to book your classes ever. There you have it, teachers. The 10 things that we think are okay, but aren't really okay for our students. The things that we do that make our students hate us. So, I do hope that this video has been an eye opener for you that, hey, don't get too comfortable working from home. You still have to look like a professional, sound like a professional, and act like a professional. And I do hope that, these kinds of videos that I make help you get more students, maybe private students or students from your ESL company. And if you do like this content, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, Teacher Karen, and comment if you have thoughts, questions, violent reactions, or video requests. And hit the bell icon for more to get notified rather for new video uploads, usually on Saturdays and or Wednesdays. Always be a blessing to the people around you, and I'm gonna see you real soon. Bye bye.